The small coastal town of Bright Sea was a place that time had forgotten. Its cobblestone streets wound their way through rows of pastel-colored houses, all facing the sea like expectant watchers. At the edge of town stood the lighthouse, silent and stoic, its once brilliant beacon extinguished decades ago. The townsfolk spoke of its history with a mix of pride and sadness, often weaving tales of love and loss into its story. It was here that Mila's path crossed with Theo's, though neither could have imagined how much the past would shape their future. Mila Carrington was a woman of quiet passion. In her early 30s, she had spent much of her life buried in books, documents, and archives. After leaving a bustling city job that left her feeling hollow, she moved to Bright Sea to catalog the town's rich history for the local museum. Her arrival was met with polite curiosity from the locals, but Mila preferred solitude and spent her days combing through the town's dusty records. She was methodical and reserved, her emotions tucked neatly away like the files she organized. Theo Mercer, on the other hand, was the town's carpenter and resident enigma. In his mid-30s, he had the kind of rugged handsomeness that came from years of working with his hands, strong arms, calloused palms, and sun-kissed skin. He had grown up in Bright Sea, though he had spent years wandering before returning to restore the lighthouse. While friendly enough, Theo had an air of guardedness about him, as if carrying a weight he seldom shared. Their lives first intersected on a crisp autumn morning. Mila had been poring over a collection of letters found in the archives when she overheard the museum's curator mention Theo's work at the lighthouse. Intrigued by the project and eager to see the structure up close, Mila decided to visit. Theo was startled when he looked up from his workbench to find Mila standing in the doorway of the lighthouse workshop. "Hi," she said, awkwardly clutching a notebook. "I'm Mila. I heard you're restoring the lighthouse." "That's the plan," Theo replied, wiping his hands on a rag. His voice was warm but cautious. "You interested in lighthouses?" "I'm interested in the stories they hold," Mila said, her eyes scanning the room. "And this one seems to have plenty." Theo's lips curved into a small smile. "More than you'd think." Mila's discovery of Eleanor's letters added a layer of intrigue to her days. Written in elegant looping script, the letters were addressed to E and spoke of a love that defied convention. Mila's curiosity deepened as she pieced together Eleanor's story. The letters described stolen moments in the lighthouse, dreams of escape, and a longing that transcended time. She shared her findings with Theo during one of her visits to the lighthouse. "Have you ever heard of Eleanor?" Mila asked, holding up one of the letters. Theo's hands froze mid-motion as he was sanding a wooden railing. His eyes flicked to the paper in her hand. "Eleanor," he repeated, his voice heavy with recognition. "Yeah, I've heard of her." Encouraged by his response, Mila explained how she believed Eleanor had fallen in love with the lighthouse keeper, Silas. As she spoke, Theo's gaze drifted to the ocean, his expression unreadable. Their shared curiosity about the past soon became the foundation of their growing connection. Mila found herself looking forward to their conversations, which often stretched long into the evenings. Theo, too, began to let down his guard, revealing glimpses of his own vulnerabilities. He spoke of his love for woodworking, his travels, and his deep respect for the lighthouse's history. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Theo revealed a piece of his own story. "Silas was my grandfather," he said quietly. "He's the reason I'm restoring this place." Mila's eyes widened. "Your grandfather?" she repeated. "So you've known about Eleanor all along?" Theo nodded. "I grew up hearing bits and pieces, but no one ever told the full story. The lighthouse was their sanctuary, but they never got their happy ending." Mila and Theo's investigation unearthed the final chapter of Eleanor and Silas's love story. The last letter, hidden among the archives, revealed Eleanor's heartbreak when Silas was lost at sea during a violent storm. She had planned to join him in leaving Bright Sea, but fate had other plans. For Theo, the discovery was bittersweet. "They were so close to having everything," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "It's like the lighthouse was a witness to their love and their loss." Mila placed a comforting hand on his arm. "Maybe restoring it is your way of giving them the ending they deserved," she said softly. When a storm threatened to damage the lighthouse during its final stages of restoration, Theo and Mila worked tirelessly to protect it. In the process, they discovered a hidden compartment in the lighthouse's foundation containing Eleanor's engagement ring, a symbol of the love that had endured despite the odds. The next day, the lighthouse's beacon shone brightly for the first time in decades. The townsfolk gathered to witness the moment, cheering as the light cut through the night sky. Theo turned to Mila, his eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you for helping me bring this place back to life," he said. "And thank you for showing me its heart," Mila replied. As they stood together beneath the glowing light, it was clear that the past had not only brought them closer, but had also given them a chance to write their own story. Walking hand in hand along the shore, they knew that the echoes of Eleanor and Silas would forever guide them.